My name is Jane Kesno, and I come from the Namatanai district of New Island province. I've worked in the public service for a period of over 20 years, from 1984 to around about the early 2000 when I took an early retrenchment. And since then I've been working with various organizations as freelance consultant, and I'm currently holding a role as the gender specialist for the economic and public sector project. I started off my career as a project officer in 1984, and somewhere towards the end of the 1980s, I was appointed as the Assistant Secretary for the Women's Affairs Division. I held that position for almost a period of close to 10 years, and then I took up some studies again at university. From there, when I went back in, I took up another role within the department, which was then known as Home Affairs. So I was the Assistant Secretary for Policy for a year before they moved me back to the Women's Affairs Division. And then it was much later in the 1990s, mid-1995, that I went abroad for studies, took up a scholarship under the Australian Awards, and when I came back, I was appointed as the Director of the Office of Home Affairs. I was lucky early on in a piece. When I joined the public service, I had some very strong mentors, and I worked under the leadership of an Australian, Chris O'Connell, who was the then director for the National Youth Movement Program. And I think there was a lot that I picked up from him during that point of time, and also working along two very strong women leaders in the public service, Felicia Dabunaba, and who was also the head of the department, and Ruby Zeriga, who was guiding me along. I think I contributed heavily to the recognition and support for government support to women's development, funding for women's programs all around the country, the creation of provincial women's development offices, the setting up of the National Council of Women's network all around the country, and just in general, mobilizing and unifying women together under the auspices of the National Council of Women. It was a tough era, but it was exciting times for this country, and it was a period of great mobilization and emancipation among women, as we were just beginning to mobilize women into some form of a movement. We saw a lot of unity and aspiration from women to unite, to work together, and through the various initiatives that were in place, particularly the setting up of the Provincial Women's Development Office, we also saw the commitment by greater commitment from provincial departments or governments at that point. Money was also coming into the country from donors for the setting up of pilot initiatives like credit schemes, a lot of focus on literacy training, women's health programs. I am now working as the gender specialist for the economic and public sector program. I joined this program in 2012, and since I joined, I've seen a lot of positive impacts, and I would say my probably greatest contribution would be in supporting Go PNG with the introduction of the first public sector gender equity and social inclusion policy. At the same time, we've introduced a number of two pilot programs, which I think is showing or having positive impact in terms of providing the supportive strategies in the rolling out of this policy. One is the Women in Leadership Network, which has grown from year to year. In recent times, we've seen a lot more interest, commitment, and expansion in the activities with organizations and even the provinces that we have visited, setting up their own women's committees and taking on the advocacy role for greater recognition and appointments of women to leadership roles. When I first started, we only had about 4 women in leadership at CEO level. Now we've gone up to 7, and the data has shown there's been an increase to almost about close to 30% of women in managerial roles. The current leadership or crop of leadership that we have in government are much more sympathetic and supportive towards the cause. I think comparing the kind of leadership we have today than what we had in the 1980s, which was a quite difficult time, and that I think we've got more people now, or more men who are educated about the issue and appreciate gender equality and human rights, women's human rights much more better. And particularly with the PNG Vision 20 coming on board, there's a huge section there that's devoted to human resource development, integral human development, youth and women's empowerment. Yes, so I think that's also helping to push agencies, and that's an area where in terms of compliance, we probably have tighter systems in place that sort of holding CEOs accountable. I've always strived to be an excellent worker. That nothing comes easy, it comes through hard work. And I guess I'm also guided by my own biblical stance and principles that whenever I enter a place of work, and I treat each job as if it's not that I'm serving men, but I'm serving God in my work. And I take that first, I am serving my God, and second, I serve men. And so I do my work wholeheartedly and sincerely. I think that helps to strive or draw you towards that spirit of excellence in everything you do, and it propels you to be better. I am never satisfied with whatever I do and produce. I always strive to be better. And also, my policy in life is that for young women, anyone who wants to build up a profession, and particularly in this area, in the area of consulting, I take it upon myself that this principle that my last job or current job is my ticket for the next job. So I need to give it the best.